Have you ever been injured so badly on purpose that it felt like your whole life fell apart? What if I told you that giving such people another chance could be the worst thing you ever do? Many people forget that some wounds were meant to break you, and that some people don't deserve a second chance in a world where forgiveness is often praised as the best virtue. They hurt you on purpose, and bringing them back in could mean going through the same thing again. Today, we're going to talk about why holding on to false hope can trap you, how to get your power back when someone else tries to take it, and why stating never again could be the best way to defend your peace. It's not about being bitter, it's about being strong, smart, and alive. Stay with me as we explore the Stoic truths that can help you heal, grow, and take back control of your life. Number 1. Recognizing intentional damage. It's not merely a mistake or a moment of weakness when someone damages you on purpose. They made a choice to hurt someone on purpose, either by what they said, what they did, or what they didn't do. This difference is really essential because it impacts how you see the problem and, more crucially, how you deal with it. Seneca wisely said that some people choose to hurt with words sharper than swords. These aren't random slashes, they're planned attacks meant to hurt your spirit. It is really important to understand this truth. For a long time, a lot of individuals have blamed themselves for the bad things that have happened to them. They say, "Was I too sensitive? Did I get their motives wrong? Could I have stopped this?" These questions are normal, yet they can make you doubt yourself and feel guilty for no reason. But the Stoics say that we can't control what other people want. Marcus Aurelius says, "You are in charge of your mind, not of things that happen outside of it." Recognize this, and you will discover fortitude. This means that even while you can't stop people from making bad decisions, you can influence how you see and react to them. When you realize that the damage was done on purpose, you cease taking their harshness personally. You cease feeling bad about someone else's choices. This awareness also helps you set strong mental and emotional limits. It's not about making excuses for them or hope they didn't mean it anymore. Instead, you know that they did it on purpose and won't take the blame for their agony. You start to safeguard your own health by saying, "This was done to me on purpose. I deserve respect, and I won't put up with this kind of harm." It's not about making you angry or resentful when you see purposeful injury. It's about getting back to your reality. It gets rid of the perplexity and the need to keep thinking about the subject over and over. When you realize somebody wanted to damage you, the story changes. You stop asking yourself, "Why me?" and start asking, "What do I need to do to heal and protect myself?" This understanding is the first step toward real freedom. You are no longer bound by their behavior when you stop blaming yourself. You get to choose who remains in your life and who doesn't again. When the anguish gets too much to handle, remember this: they hurt you on purpose. You aren't making this up. And this realization isn't a loss for you, it's a wake-up call. It is the first step on your path to recovery, tranquility, and self-respect. You can only see the way forward clearly when you face this truth. If you don't accept this fact, you are open to more hurt. But once you do, it gives you the strength to stand firm and defend your heart. Number 2, the trap of forgiveness. People often say that forgiveness is a good thing, a noble thing that frees the person who forgives from anger and bitterness. The Stoics undoubtedly thought that peace of mind was the most important thing, and forgiving can be a strong way to get there. But it's important to know that forgiveness isn't something that happens automatically or without thought. You don't have to forgive anyone who harmed you, especially if they did it on purpose. Epictetus says, "It's not what happens to you that matters, but how you respond." It can be harmful to forgive too fast or for no good reason. It may appear nice or merciful at first, but it typically leads to greater harm. Forgiving someone who hasn't shown real sorrow or change means that you are telling them that their bad behavior doesn't have any serious consequences. You let the same suffering back into your life, and sometimes even more. You should offer yourself the gift of forgiveness so you can let go of your anger and move on. But it is not a gift that should be offered easily or too soon. Marcus Aurelius rightly said, "The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury." This means not letting their actions get to you and not letting them hurt you again and again. People frequently forgive too easily because they want to move on or because they feel like they have to because of social norms or their own conscience. They believe that forgiving entails forgetting or letting the wrongdoer off the hook. The Stoics knew that real forgiveness needs limits. The person who hurt you needs to show that they really want to change and care about your well-being. If you don't do this, forgiveness becomes a gateway instead of a safe place. Seneca said, "Throw me to the wolves, and I will return leading the pack." This is a warning not to rush forgiveness. This strong message tells us to be careful and protect ourselves. People who hurt us on purpose may see early forgiveness as a sign of weakness and be more likely to do it again. So before you forgive, think about whether or not this individual has admitted to doing wrong. Have they changed their behavior or made up for what they did? Will forgiving them give me serenity or make things worse? Forgiveness isn't about letting someone off the hook. It's about getting your peace back. When you don't forgive people who hurt you on purpose, you're not hanging on to resentment. You're protecting your heart and your future. If you want to break away from bad habits and make your emotional health a priority in your life, you need to be able to tell the difference between good and bad. Don't let yourself forgive too soon. Instead, work on being patient, strong, and clear. Forgive when it heals you, not when it wounds you again. Number 3, why they want a second chance. Why do people who have injured us on purpose often come back and ask for another chance? It could look like they really feel bad and want to put things right and earn back your trust at first. The Stoics, on the other hand, tell us to delve deeper than what we see. Marcus Aurelius observed, "People are there for each other. You can teach them or put up with them." This shows us how important it is to be patient and empathetic in relationships. But there is a big difference between putting up with someone who hurts you over and over again and putting up with someone who is kind to you. Endurance is not about putting yourself in danger or putting up with poisonous cycles. It's about knowing when to get involved and when to protect yourself. Most of the time, when someone who hurt someone else asks for a second chance, they don't really feel sorry for what they did. Instead, it's a desire to keep things under control or to avoid dealing with the results of what they've done. They want to stay in your life because it helps them in some way, whether it's emotionally, financially, or socially. It's a technique for them to keep their power or avoid being alone. Epictetus said that some people act like a dog that returns to its vomit. In other words, if they don't really change, their continuous attempts to get back into your life are just cycles of hurt that look like reconciliation. They want a second chance, not because they care about how much you hurt, but because they don't want to lose the comfort or power they used to have over you. If you give someone a second opportunity when they are only looking out for themselves, you could get harmed again. It's like mending a broken bridge without fixing the cracks in the structure. The Stoics teach us that having emotional boundaries and respecting ourselves are important for our health. It's not strong to put up with poisonous conduct over and over again. It's self-neglect. Seneca said, "Hang out with people who are likely to make you better." This means being with people that pull you up and respect your limits, not people who hurt you and then ask for more chances to hurt you. People who are truly accountable, truly sorry, and consistently change are the ones who deserve a second chance. Be careful when someone asks for a second opportunity. Think on this. Are they really sorry? Have they accepted their part? Are they doing what they say they will do? If you're not sure what to do, keep in mind that a second opportunity could quickly turn into a trap that pulls you back into misery and despair. You can't trade your tranquility and self-worth for anything. To keep children safe, you need to know who you can trust and who you can't. Sometimes, the best and boldest thing to do is to say no to second chances and choose yourself instead. Number 4. The cost of giving in. When you give someone who has purposefully hurt you a second chance, it often feels like an act of compassion or even hope when you do so. Hope that things will be different this time. Hope that the person will change, or hope that your relationship will be repaired. But underneath that promise is a hidden cost, one that many people fail to recognize until it is too late to do anything about it. Seneca's observation that no man is crushed by misfortune unless he has first been deceived by prosperity serves to bring to our attention the fact that hope can sometimes cause us to become blind. It is possible that we have faith in a better future, or that we cling to recollections of better times. Nevertheless, when that hope is built on the basis of intentional harm, it becomes a deception, one that gradually erodes your sense of self-worth. When you give in to someone who has intentionally injured you, you run the risk of confirming a detrimental message to yourself. More specifically, you are sending the message that your feelings and boundaries are up for negotiation, and that your peace is subordinate to their wishes. The healing process is slowed down as a result of this, which also undermines your confidence. Rather than making progress, you can find that you are unable to break free from cycles of suffering, uncertainty, and regret. Healing is not a linear process, and it requires periods of time and space that are free from repetitive harm. It is essentially the same as reopening old wounds when you allow someone back into your life who has purposely caused pain without actually altering themselves. You may find that the emotional toll is tiring, which can wear down your resilience and make it more difficult to trust not only other people, but also yourself. On top of that, giving in frequently involves making some subtle concessions. In order to maintain the status quo, you can choose to disregard warning signs, put up with rudeness, or repress your genuine emotions. Your sense of yourself and the authority you have over yourself will gradually weaken as a result of the accumulation of multiple compromises. However, it can be quite challenging to say no, particularly if the person in question was formerly a close friend, or if you are afraid of being judged or feeling lonely. On the other hand, one of the most powerful demonstrations of self-respect that you can make is to refuse to grant a second chance when it is not earned. It demonstrates that you place a high enough value on yourself to take measures to safeguard your mental and emotional well. The teachings of Marcus Aurelius include the following: the soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. To safeguard your mental health, You should avoid falling into destructive cycles and false hope. Choose to think thoughts that validate your worth and your right to peace, rather than those that urge you to tolerate harm against yourself or others. Ultimately, it is not about harboring resentment or being harsh when one chooses not to give someone a second chance. Recognizing and honoring your individual path to recovery and development is essential. It is about establishing a benchmark for how you want to be treated, since you are deserving of nothing less than respect, kindness, and serious concern for yourself and others. When you give in to individuals who have purposely caused you harm, you are not only causing yourself suffering, but you are also causing yourself to lose your self-respect, your ability to heal, and your peace of mind. Strongly guard the individuals. Simply uttering the word no can be the most effective action you can do at times. Number 5, reclaiming your power. We learn from Stoicism that the most deep power we possess is not in the ability to control other people or the circumstances that surround us, but rather in the ability to master ourselves. The famous quote attributed to Epictetus states that, "No one is free who is not master of himself." That is to say, the source of true freedom and strength lies within oneself. The ability to manage one's own ideas, feelings, and decisions, regardless of the actions of others, is the source of this skill. When you are purposely harmed, the person is attempting to take away your strength, which includes your self-assurance, your sense of tranquility, and your protection. It is important to remember, however, that power can never be fully taken away from you unless you give it away. You must first acknowledge that you have the power to choose how you will react, who you will let into your life, and the kind of treatment you will endure before you can begin to reclaim your power. At this stage of reclamation, establishing boundaries is an essential step. Lines created to preserve your well-being are what boundaries are, not walls that isolate you from others. "This is where I stand," they exclaim. "I will not put up with this at any cost." You can regain control of your life by enforcing these boundaries and refusing to let dangerous people back into your life, particularly those who have purposely caused you unhappiness. The impediment to action advances action. Marcus Aurelius pushed his followers of the time. Whatever is in the way will eventually become the way. The people who have caused you pain may appear to be hurdles, yet they have the potential to become the precise reason that you become more powerful and smarter. Instead of allowing their acts to define you or break you, you should utilize them as fuel to strengthen your determination and clarify your ideals. Whether you choose to dwell on previous suffering or to focus on your healing, whether you choose to allow toxic influences back into your life or to defend your mental and emotional space, whether you choose to respond with fury or with calm strength on a daily basis, your power rests in the decisions that you make. Each decision either strengthens or weakens the inner citadel you call home. We are reminded by Seneca that the man who is poor is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more. When you come to the realization that tranquility, self-respect, and dignity are the genuine possessions that no one can take away from you without your permission, you will find that you are wealthy beyond any measure. When you recover your power, you simultaneously reclaim your voice, refusing to be hushed by guilt or manipulation. Speaking your truth and remaining steadfast on your limits are all aspects of this. The idea here is not to be unforgiving. Rather, it is to be extremely protective of your own health and well-being. One thing to keep in mind is that you do not owe someone a spot in your life if they bring down your brightness. Every time you make the decision to choose maintaining your own tranquility over gaining the approval of others, your strength will continue to grow stronger. The resilience, knowledge, and unshakable self-mastery that are the hallmarks of Stoic strength are as follows. Number 6. Understanding why they hurt you. The majority of the time, persons who willfully cause harm to other people are motivated not by who you are, but by who they are, which includes their anxieties, insecurities, and unresolved anguish. The profound understanding of human nature that Marcus Aurelius possessed led him to recommend that we take a moment to pause before passing judgment on other people and ask ourselves, what of my own shortcomings is most similar to the one that I am about to criticize? The purpose of this exercise is not to justify the suffering that has been inflicted upon you. Rather, it is to facilitate compassion and, more significantly, insight. When someone purposefully hurts you, it is frequently a projection of the hardships that they are going through on the inside. They may be cruel, manipulative, or betraying others because they are afraid of being abandoned, they are envious, or they have a severe loss of self-worth. Recognizing this does not mean that you should tolerate their actions or try to minimize the pain you are experiencing. On the contrary, it assists you in emotionally distancing yourself from their actions and recognizing that the damage they caused is more indicative of their own brokenness than it is of your own worth. The viewpoint presented here is liberating. It is not that you internalize their cruel actions, rather you come to the realization that their harmful behavior was a mirror reflecting their own struggles. As a result of their own suffering, they made the decision to bring harm to other people. It was Epictetus who made the observation that people are disturbed not by things but by the views they take of them. Regaining your emotional equilibrium can be accomplished by changing your perspective on those who have caused you harm, from adversaries to flawed human beings. Be wary, however, because just because you understand why someone hurt you does not imply that you are obligated to continue to be in their presence in your life. The act of acknowledging their suffering is not about reopening your heart to additional harm. Rather, it is about liberating yourself from resentment. Instead of reacting with fury, it is important to choose to reply with knowledge. Seneca tells us that we are more often frightened than hurt, and we suffer more from imagination than from reality. The anxiety and rage that are associated with purposeful hurt tend to grow greater in our imaginations than the real damage that has been done. By gaining an understanding of the underlying causes of the acts of others, one can reduce feelings of fear and anger, thereby creating room for healing and peace. You can prevent your heart from being poisoned by anger by viewing the harmful actions of the other person as a symptom of their own inner conflict at the same time. You have come to the realization that your response to their vicious behavior is what defines you, not their cruelty. This understanding is the foundation of the Stoic trait of resilience. Pain is transformed into insight, anger is transformed into wisdom, and victimhood is transformed into independence. This serves as a reminder that even though you are unable to control the darkness that exists in other people, you always have the ability to select your own light. Number 7. Building your support system. A road of healing is never intended to be undertaken in isolation. The Stoics had a profound understanding of the significance of community and friendship in development of a life that is characterized by resiliency and virtue. We are reminded by Seneca that true happiness is to enjoy the present without anxious dependence upon the future. This current delight, however, is frequently anchored in the connections that we cultivate. These are the individuals who are there for us when life becomes challenging, who serve as a constant reminder of who we truly are. When you have been purposely injured, beginning the process of regaining trust in both yourself and others might feel like an overwhelming task. Because of this, it is necessary to surround yourself with a solid support system. Try to find people who are able to pull you up, who respect your boundaries, and who celebrate your worth without any restrictions attached. These individuals become your emotional sanctuary, providing you with secure environments in which your wounds can start to heal. When we say support, we are not referring to unending counsel or imposed positivism. Genuine listening, empathy, and respect for your process are all examples of what it implies. In addition to providing company, friendship was highly valued by Stoic thinkers because it served as a mirror that reflected truth and virtue. Associate with those who will make you a better man. Epictetus advised his followers of the time. Include people in your circle who push you to grow, while also providing room for you to recover by including them in your circle. Your determination to say no to people who have caused you damage is strengthened when you are a part of a group that is supportive. When you are aware that you are not alone, it is much simpler to safeguard your tranquility and establish your boundaries without feeling guilty. As a result of the fact that individuals who genuinely care about you reinforce your feeling of worth, you become less susceptible to being manipulated or placed under pressure to offer undesired second chances. Sharing your troubles with people you can trust, such as friends or mentors, can also help you process the suffering without making you feel overwhelmed because of it. It has the potential to alleviate feelings of isolation and serve as a reminder that your experience, regardless of how awful it may be, does not define who you are. The process of healing becomes a journey that is shared, during which empathy and support fuel people's growth. In addition, Seneca imparted the knowledge that we suffer more frequently in our imaginations than in reality. In times when your concerns or doubts threaten to spiral out of control, having a solid support system can help you feel more grounded in reality and provide you with perspective. They serve as a constant reminder that you are appreciated and that healing is not only possible, but is actually taking place. Take into consideration that cultivating your support system is an act of both self-care and strength. Saying to yourself, "I deserve people who respect me, who stand with me, and who help me become the best version of myself," is what it means to have this internal dialogue. Through the formation of this network, your heart is surrounded by a stronghold that shields you from any additional harm and gives you the ability to continue forward with self-assurance. There is no need for you to heal on your own, regardless of how severe the damage is. Having the proper people in your life can be the savior that helps you turn your suffering into resilience and your hurt into hope. Number 8. Letting go of false hope. In the short term, it may be soothing to cling to the hope that someone who has purposely wounded you would suddenly change. However, in the long run, this optimism can frequently turn out to be a trap, a cycle that leaves you stuck in sorrow, disappointment, and mental upheaval. Having a false hope is similar to having an anchor that pulls you down and prevents you from sailing toward freedom and healing. Epictetus imparted the following sage advice: "Do not demand that things happen as you wish. Rather, wish that they happen as they do happen." This Stoic idea encourages us to accept reality in its current state, rather than attempting to change it to fit our desires. We are denying the reality of the acts and intentions of the person who has caused us harm when we continue to cling to the notion that they will change before our very eyes overnight. This denial prevents us from gaining the clarity that is necessary for us to proceed. The act of accepting reality does not imply giving up on life or on other people. In other words, it is letting go of the expectations that lead to sorrow. Realizing that some individuals may never change and that their harmful behavior is a reflection of who they are rather than what you deserve is what it means to acknowledge that some people may never change. It is important to remember that Seneca once said, "A man is as miserable as he thinks he is." Whether it be about what could have been, what should have happened, or what might yet happen, the tales that we tell ourselves have the potential to feed suffering and keep us tethered to wounds that have occurred in the past. Forcing yourself to let go of false hope will liberate your mind from these distressing myths. When you stop wishing for change that isn't happening, you make room for healing and progress to take place. Rather than concentrating on things that are beyond your control, such as the acts of other people, you transfer your attention to things that you have control over, such as your thoughts, your decisions, and your peace of mind. In addition, letting go requires you to be truthful with yourself about what is beneficial to your health and what is bad for you. It involves coming to terms with the notion that there are times when the wisest course of action is to walk away, not because you are resentful, but because you value yourself enough to quit enduring misery. Marcus Aurelius once stated, "If someone is able to show me that what I think or do is wrong, I will happily change, for I seek the truth, which is the only thing that has ever truly harmed anyone." But the reality is that the person who caused you pain is not likely to change, and this may be a difficult thing to accept. Accepting this reality is not a sign of failure. Rather, it is a freedom. As a result of its ability to masquerade as love, forgiveness, or faith, false hope is a deeply alluring concept. Acceptance, boundaries, and respect for oneself are the foundations upon which genuine love and genuine healing are built. When you let go of false hope, you stop dedicating your energy to illusions and begin investing it in your future. This opens up a lot of opportunities for you. One must always keep in mind that hope ought to be a source of strength, not a source of misery. Your power to heal, to grow, and to establish a life of peace that is beyond the grasp of those who have wronged you in the past should serve as the foundation around which you should build your optimism. Number 9. Learning from the pain. In many cases, the most unpleasant instructor that we come across is pain. It comes suddenly, without prior warning, and demands our attention regardless of whether or not we are prepared to give it. In spite of this, Marcus Aurelius made a profound observation when he said, "The impediment to action advances action. Whatever is in the way will eventually become the way." This Stoic wisdom encourages us to view suffering not as a point of no return, but rather as a driving force behind personal development, transformation, and eventually, empowerment. The pain that you experience as a result of someone purposefully hurting you can feel like a heavy load that you need to conceal, ignore, or wish away altogether. But the lessons that can be learned from that suffering are significant. You will learn about your limits, your ideals, and the strength that you were unaware you possessed as a result of this experience. Each and every scar and wound is a visual representation of your ability to persevere and survive. You should not allow your grief to define you as a victim. Rather, you should use it as a compass to guide you through the future. In what ways did this encounter shed light on the types of people you would like to have in your life? What insights did it provide you on your own capabilities and boundaries? What kind of effect does this adversity have on your personality and the decisions you make going forward? It was Seneca who brought to our attention the fact that difficulties strengthen the mind, as labor does the body. Your mind and soul will become more resilient and wiser as you go through your hardships, just as your muscles will become stronger as a result of resistance. Every traumatic event presents you with the chance to get a more profound comprehension of both yourself and the circumstances that surround you. Being patient and adopting humility are also necessary components of learning from pain. The process of healing is rarely instantaneous, and the lessons may not be immediately apparent. However, with the passage of time, the act of reflecting on it, and the intention to learn from it, the adversity that you have been through can become a source of wisdom, a guiding light that saves you from falling into similar traps again. Your scars have the potential to motivate other people. When you tell others about your experiences of overcoming adversity and growing as a person, you give them hope and strength when they might be suffering in silence. Not only does your journey become a trail leading to your own personal recovery, but it also serves as a guidepost for community and connection. It is important to keep in mind that the Stoics did not celebrate pain. Rather, they praised the bravery that is required to face challenges with dignity. It is not a punishment to experience pain. Rather, it is a teacher who encourages you to rise above your circumstances and construct a more powerful, independent self. Do not be ashamed to show off your scars. They are not indications of weakness or failure. Rather, they are badges of survival, reminders of the battles you fought and the knowledge you've gained over the course of your life. On your journey toward freedom, let your suffering to serve as your most valuable instructor, transforming challenges into stepping stones along the way. Number 10. Focusing on yourself. It is not via retaliation or revenge that you can find the ultimate kind of retribution against those who have purposely injured you. Rather, it is through growth, in becoming the most powerful and resilient version of yourself. This reality is reflected in Seneca's wisdom, which states, "If a man does not know to which port he sails, then there is no wind that is favorable." To put it another way, fulfillment and advancement are not something that can be achieved under any circumstances if there is no clear purpose and direction. The temptation to focus on the wrongs done to you and to expend energy seeking justice or approval from other people is intense when you have been purposely injured. Nevertheless, this concentration will simply deplete your power and keep you bound to the activities of others. It is more effective to direct your energy inside, toward your objectives, your interests, and most importantly, your own healing. In order to concentrate on yourself, you must first establish crystal clear goals on the person you wish to develop into. What principles will serve as your compass? What kinds of accomplishments or personal development do you hope to achieve? Your mind will be freed from the hold that external negativity has on you when it is anchored by purpose. You transform into a ship that is able to maintain a steady course. No storm, regardless of how intense it may be, can derail you. If you want to avoid wasting time fighting about what a good man ought to be, Marcus Aurelius gave you some advice. Become one. Rather than squandering your time and energy on people who have caused you pain, you should commit yourself to living in accordance with the ideas that are most important to you. Not only is this about achieving success in one's own life, but it is also about developing tranquility and strength within oneself that no one can take away from you. If you direct your energy into growth, you will achieve a sort of victory that is unseen. The world, and most importantly yourself, will see that you are unbreakable as a result of this. Regardless of the actions taken by others, your spirit will not be broken, and your determination will not be disturbed. This is the power that comes from concentrating on yourself. The ability to transform suffering into a purpose, weakness into wisdom, and failures into opportunities for success. In addition, putting yourself first requires you to engage in self-care practices on all levels, physically, psychologically, and emotionally. Rest and nourishing food are the best ways to nourish your body, while learning and introspection are the best ways to challenge your mind, and compassion and patience are the best ways to heal your heart. The foundation that is built by these actions is so sturdy that it cannot be broken by even the most deliberate destruction. On one occasion, Seneca made the following statement: "The entire future lies in uncertainty. Live immediately." Don't let the pains of the past keep you from moving on to what was in the past. Invest in your well-being and growth, while living your life to the fullest right now. By maintaining this concentration, you not only move yourself forward, but you also motivate others to discover their own fortitude in the face of adversity. Therefore, allow your most powerful reaction to people who have caused you harm to be your own personal transformation. Allow your life to serve as evidence that you are more resilient than the suffering that has been inflicted upon you. Mostly due to the fact that true power does not come from hurting other people back, but rather from rising above it and growing in spite of it. Number 11. Trusting again. On your terms. When we purposely injure another person, trust becomes even more valuable than it always was. Trust is one of the most valuable gifts that we can give to another person. One of the lessons that we learn from the Stoics is that trust is not something that should be given blindly or without consideration. It must be gained, cultivated, and guarded with great care in order to be protected. Make the best use of what is in your power and take the rest as it happens. Epictetus remarked, "A valuable words of advice. Whom you choose to trust and the degree to which you trust them is something that is entirely under your control. The actions and intentions of other people are not within your sphere of influence by any means. Furthermore, when it comes to regaining trust after suffering damage, the most important thing is to continue in a thoughtful and planned manner. Wait until you feel ready to open your heart once more, and then proceed to do so in a calm and careful manner. Building trust is not a risk that can be won or lost. Rather, it is a process. It is important to give yourself permission to notice actions rather than words, to recognize consistency in behavior, and to experience genuine respect for your boundaries and overall value. Those individuals who have shown that they are trustworthy and kind are the only ones who should be included in your inner circle. Recognizing warning signs at an early stage and paying attention to your gut instinct are both essential components of protecting your heart with the same ferocity that you protect your peace. Stoics placed a high importance on self-awareness and alertness, both of which are attributes that assist one in avoiding making the same mistakes again and again. It is important to keep in mind that trusting someone does not indicate that you are susceptible to being harmed. Rather, it indicates that you are strong enough to make choices wisely and with caution. Reject your sense of injury, and the injury itself disappears. Marcus Aurelius advises us to keep in mind the following. Refusing to accept hurt, however, does not mean that you should forget your boundaries or disregard the lessons you have learned. This signifies that you are able to carry forward the knowledge that you have acquired and no longer allow the agony of the past to determine your future. Additionally, if you want to trust again on your own terms, you should avoid speeding the process or giving in to the pressure that comes from other people. It is possible that some people will encourage you to forgive and forget fast, but the Stoics place a greater emphasis on living according to your own reasoned judgment rather than external demands. Your trust is yours to provide, and you should only do it when you are in a state of genuine safety. The act of re-establishing trust is a brave demonstration of having hope and being resilient. This demonstrates that you have faith in connection, in humanity, and in your own capacity to protect yourself while maintaining an openness to others, despite the traumas that you have carried. This equilibrium is the defining characteristic of Stoic strength, which is the ability to be powerful without becoming rigid and open without being naive. It is important to keep in mind that you should trust with intention as you move forward. Let your previous experiences serve as a guide. They should not cause you to close your heart, but rather to guard it with wisdom. Developing relationships that recognize your value and provide support for your tranquility can be accomplished in this manner. Despite the fact that you cause harm to others on purpose, you do not owe anyone a second opportunity. The Stoics instill in us the belief that our actions are the source of our power. A life that is characterized by strength, dignity, and knowledge can be built by protecting your peace, learning from the sorrow, and building life. Don't forget that your tranquility is your most valuable asset. Preserve it with all your may. Please remember to click the subscribe button if you found this message to be thought-provoking and relevant. Every day, you are only a click away from gaining additional knowledge, strength, and tales that will assist you in growing. You are entitled to a life that is devoid of detriment and is brimming with liberty.